Want a big party. 27 guests felt excessive for 35, but my husband insisted. It's important, he said. Sometimes twice, like celebration was something that could fix what had been thinning between us for months. 7:30 the house was warm with perfume and laughter. I moved through rooms carrying trays, thanking people for coming, nodding at jokes I didn't hear. My mother couldn't attend. Arthritis had been cruel this winter. I'd already fielded 2 polite questions about her absence. My mother-in-law waited until the second bottle of wine was open. She didn't shout at first. She stood near the cake table, glass balanced in her hand, and said in a voice that carried just enough, "It's a shame her mother isn't here. Though perhaps it's better. That woman has poisoned this family from the start." The word poisoned hung strangely elegant in the air. Someone laughed uncertainly. My husband stiffened beside me. I felt the room tilt, not from surprise but from inevitability. We had circled this accusation for years, whispers about manipulation, about influence, about me guided by the wrong blood. I set the knife down carefully. "She's a liar," my mother-in-law continued, firmer now. "She's filled your head with stories about us. Turned you against your own husband." My husband stepped forward before I could speak. "Always play the victim," he said, his voice tight with something rehearsed. "Every disagreement becomes some conspiracy." 7 faces tried not to stare. I opened my mouth, not to defend my mother, not even to defend myself, but to end it quietly. Instead, his hand came faster than I expected. The sound was small, the impact wasn't. For a moment I tasted metal. The room went silent in a way that felt almost holy. A few gasps. A fork dropped somewhere. And then I laughed. It surprised them. Surprised me. Not because it was funny. Because it was finished. I had spent the last 3 months in offices with neutral walls and filtered light. Had sat across from a lawyer who spoke in even sentences about asset division, shareholder liability, fiduciary duty. Had learned the difference between emotional betrayal and financial misconduct, and how one often hides inside the other. The slap wasn't new. It was simply public. The doorbell rang. No one moved at first. My husband's hand was still half raised, unsure what it had just done. I smoothed my dress, feeling the warmth on my cheek fade into something colder. "I'll get it," I said. 2 men stood on the porch in dark suits, holding leather folders. Not theatrical, not aggressive, calm in the way people are when procedure protects them. "Mrs. Khan," one asked. I nodded. "We're looking for Mr. Amir Khan." Full name, measured tone. "We have documents requiring his immediate acknowledgement." I stepped aside and let them in. Conversations fractured into whispers. One of our guests, an accountant, went visibly pale when he saw the insignia on the folder. Government crest. Corporate Enforcement Division. The taller man addressed my husband directly. "Sir, you are being formally notified of an investigation into irregular transfers from the company's operating account. Pending review, shared financial assets have been temporarily frozen under court order." He handed over the envelope. Thick, official, unmistakable. No one spoke. Even my mother-in-law seemed to shrink, her certainty dissolving into confusion. My husband scanned the first page. The color drained from his face in stages. "This is a mistake," he said, but softer now, not commanding, not certain. "May be clarified through your legal counsel." The second man replied evenly. "You've been served." That was the moment. Not the slap, not the accusation. The moment the language in the room shifted from opinion to consequence. I hadn't orchestrated the timing theatrically. The documents had finalized that afternoon after weeks of forensic review I'd quietly authorized as co-owner, signed my portion of the separation paperwork in the same building an hour later. My lawyer had advised transparency, had chosen silence instead. The men left as calmly as they'd arrived. Guests gathered their coats with brittle politeness. No one mentioned what they'd seen. No one mentioned what they hadn't intervened in. The cake remained untouched. When the house emptied, the quiet felt heavier than the noise had. Husband stood in the living room holding the envelope like it might explain itself if he stared long enough. "New," he said finally.
Yes.
"You set this up." I protected myself. He looked at me differently then, not with anger. Exactly. With recalculation. The balance he'd relied on for years had shifted, and it wasn't because I'd shouted louder. In the kitchen, I ran my hands under cold water, washing icing from my fingers, though I hadn't cut the cake. My cheek throbbed faintly, a reminder that dignity can bruise but still stand. I didn't feel victorious. I felt clear. There would be lawyers. There would be explanations to families. There would be consequences neither of us could fully predict. The marriage might survive under terms we had never practiced, or it might end with signatures and silence. Behind me, he began to speak again, quieter, stripped of performance. I dried my hands and turned, not smiling this time. For the first time in years, I wasn't laughing to survive the moment. I was simply steady.